So it's called dysphoric milk ejection reflex. It's a real psychological condition where a person experiences a sudden wave of negative emotions right before or during milk letdown. Isn't that crazy?
Welcome back and happy Tuesday, turkeys. How long have we known each other?
We've known each other for 2 decades.
I am not apologizing for who I am or what I like or the people that I love.
How do I be a wife? How do I be a mom? And how do I be myself in all of that? You didn't see that coming, did you?
Good morning. Welcome back.
Happy Tuesday, turkeys.
Happy Tuesday. Unfortunately, we are back in our normal homes, not next to each other, but it's okay.
That was a
At least
treat
we
to be
have-
able to have a little bit of time in person together.
It was. Okay, so here's what's been happening, folks. Kayla and I have been jib-jabbing around in our brains about what to talk about next, and I've really had so much fun talking about your birth story. And then it just felt like maybe we should just go from there and dive into the deep end of your experience as a mom. We've tossed out the idea of doing, like, what did we say, 4 episodes with a specific focus of some aspect of becoming a mother, early motherhood, jib-jab, and then we'll just kind of dive in. We're calling this Ask Me Anything. Kayla doesn't know. I was fleshing this out earlier today and last night when I couldn't sleep because my dog was click-clacking all over the floor.
My God, I cannot.
So my other thought, well, number one, I think it's helpful from what I've watched for moms to have other moms and just communication and information. All of it's so helpful. And you're in the trenches of being a working mom with 2 kids. Next, as me, someone who has not had these experiences, I think it's the perfect opportunity for my nosy ass to ask you questions. And for other people who either don't have kids yet, are not planning on having kids, whatever the situation is, I feel like I can kind of be a stand-in for the dinkwads or the expecting moms to maybe ask some questions about what we don't know. And for those of you who are never planning on having children, I feel like this is just good information to help you support your mom friends.
Yes. Yeah, because you really don't know what you don't know until you go through it, or you get really curious and you talk to people a lot and ask questions so that you can, understand if you don't have kids yet. Like, but pre-kid Kayla, I don't know anything. And I didn't realize certain things that I could have done to be more supportive of my friends who already had kids. And now that I have kids, I'm like, so I see why you made X, Y, Z decisions, or etc. So, yeah, it's interesting. But there's so many different facets of motherhood. I think this would be a fun series to kind of dive in deeper to a few of those and kind of explore what those are. And if you guys have any questions also in the comments, let us know.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. If we gather up enough questions before or after a couple episodes, we could just do a question and answer all together. Episode number 1 of Ask Me Anything, we're going with breastfeeding.
The Big Daddy. My God.
I mean, you and I have, well, one, you and I talked about this some when we were together. Why do I keep counting with my fingers? We talked about this when we were together. You have touched on the difficulty you have had with breastfeeding over
That's how
your
I
2
feel.
children.
For the people just listening, she's got her hands in her armpits, but it looks like she's like kind of holding her boobs. That's how it feels to breastfeed. It's just constantly like, yeah, just kidding.
So I'm just going to badger you with questions. I think my thing that I realized is that I've always heard people say, well, I've heard a lot of people be like, the joys of breastfeeding, which I have now come to learn is not everyone's experience. And then number 2, I think it's fascinating the way your body as a woman produces breast milk. And number 3, I keep hearing people also say it's hard, and I don't know what that means. That's where we're starting. But I think you said you had some fun facts about breast milk / breastfeeding to kick us off. Yeah. And I think that's the perfect way to start.
I'm so excited. I knew a couple of these, but some of these I didn't know. And I feel like this is the perfect way to set up this topic because it's why I'm trying so hard to figure it all out because it's so cool and helpful. Okay, so did you know breast milk changes based on your baby's saliva? Did you know that? So
How does it get the saliva to the milk?
I guess I mean, how does liquid come out of your boob? I don't know. There's got to be some porousness that's going back and forth or something. I don't know.
Uh, okay.
But when, like, obviously for if you're actually nursing mouth to boob, that like helps change the breast milk according to what's in the saliva, like the antibodies and whatever. But if you're just pumping, there's a lot of people that like if you give your baby a kiss, like a bunch of kisses on your head, you're picking up their microbiome, and then your body is adjusting the breast milk to produce accordingly.
That's amazing.
Isn't that wild?
That's so
So for
cool.
everyone who can't nurse but is pumping, that is a really cool thing. There's also this cool little Instagram video where it has a bunch of bacteria on like a petri tray, and they do like with just one drop of breast milk, and it basically like wipes out all the bacteria. It's really cool.
Weird.
Yeah. So it's just like super nutritious. It's just very complex in a way that I don't even know how to describe it, but that's so beneficial to the baby, which is why I've been trying to do it. This is the thing that probably isn't helping for us, but it's a cool fact that the milk that you produce at nighttime has more melatonin in it.
Oh,
Uh-huh. But if I'm pumping, sometimes I've got some in the fridge and blah blah blah. So that may not affect us as much, but I thought that was really cool. And
yeah.
then babies who breastfeed or get breast milk, I should say. I don't breastfeeding, there's more ways to get breast milk than just breastfeeding. It lowers their risk of breast cancer, ovarian cancer, and type 2 diabetes. Rewind. That's the benefits for the mom.
Oh,
If a mom is breastfeeding or pumping or doing stuff like that, they're at a lower risk of those things.
that's
And it
interesting.
burns 400 to 500 extra calories a day,
Dude, that's crazy.
which makes sense because you're so ravenous. So you eat way more. So you don't lose weight. At least I didn't lose weight because I'm eating so much more. But I thought that was crazy. And then my last little fun fact is that um, breast milk has little small bits of flavor in it, depending on what you eat. So like the baby can
Oh,
kind of taste different flavors and it
interesting.
changes. Isn't that wild?
That is crazy. Have you tried some of your own?
I have. And it is sweet. It's not like it's not something I would want to like pick up and drink, but it's sweet and I can see why he would like it.
Yeah.
But it is weird because sometimes on my pumps, sometimes milk will kind of leak out onto the table, or even when it's TMI, but when it's coming out, like there's the liquidy, waterier part, and then there's like actual white clumps or separations where it's like, dude, is that the nutrients right there? Like clumped into the white part, and then you got the liquid on. It's almost like eggs. It's so
Oh,
weird. Not all the time,
interesting.
but like usually right in the beginning or when it sits and it separates, there's
Uh-huh.
two different parts. And sometimes you'll see that on the bottle where it'll separate into like some thick stuff and then whatever. It's not just like a glass of milk. There's just so much in it. It's the craziest thing.
Do you know, and you don't have to know this, but do you happen to know the makeup, the macronutrient makeup? Is it, I mean, there's obviously like sugar in it, or
There's definitely,
carbohydrates and fat and
mhm.
protein?
It also said that if you have a preemie, your body will make preemie specific breast milk, which is crazy.
That is so interesting.
Okay, so it's 50% fat, 40% carbs, 7 to 10% protein.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that crazy?
That is
So
really crazy.
knowing all the benefits and just how crucial it is, it's not the end of like the baby will be fine on formula. We did that with our first. We did about 11 weeks breast milk and then switched to formula. I'm trying to go a little bit longer because is in daycare earlier, and I'd love to give him some support with the nutritious breast milk, depending on what his microbiome is telling my microbiome. Like, if there's more sickness going into daycare, and I'd like to try to help protect him a little bit while he's so young. So that's kind of my thought process because I don't have this study pulled, but I've heard that if you babies are drinking breast milk, they're set up their immune system is set up a little bit better to not be so
Yeah, that
sick.
makes sense. And I mean, like you said, everybody obviously knows being fed is better than not being fed.
Mhm.
And you, like you said, or you even have still like supplemented with some formula if you're just not producing enough.
Yes, and now that I'm back to work, I'm pumping less, so there's more time in between sessions, and B, I don't see him for half the day. So what we've been doing is we've basically switched to 50-50 because he's getting formula during the day. I can't produce enough to supply to the daycare before we leave, so I'm just pumping throughout the day, and then that's what he's drinking through the evening and the nighttime. And I was like, you know what? You know what? I'm not gonna stress myself out about this, even though I would like to. He's getting still 50% breast milk, and that's okay. That's better than
Yeah.
nothing. So if I can realistically make it where I can sustain it, then he's getting the benefit, and 50% is better than 0. So that's my outlook.
Yeah. I'm glad
So
you've
yeah.
let the pressure kick off of yourself. Do you think you just got like real burnt out the first go around where it was just like not feasible to do once you got back to work? Do you think you're more motivated because your second's in daycare? Like, what do you think has changed? Is the production different? Is it less painful?
I feel like I've heard that baby 1 to 2 can just be a whole different breastfeeding experience. Like if you have super bad pain with one, you may not have it with the second, which is just so crazy for us because the pain was pretty bad again. So instead of continuing to try, because it was so important to me the first time, I just kept trying. So I was not set up for good boob and nipple health, if you will, because I
Okay,
just
so when you
wasn't
say try, you were trying to breastfeed
breastfeed.
directly versus
Yes.
pump.
Yes,
Okay.
with our first. And then at one point I switched to pumping exclusively, but I don't think I was drinking enough water. I don't know what was going on. Maybe my body was just in a different state, but I was also getting a lot of clogged ducts, which is excruciating. And I couldn't I knew I couldn't deal with that while I went back to work. So this
Okay.
time, I don't know if my body's just used to it or I'm doing things that are different or what the deal is, but I've only had 2 instances where I've gotten clogged ducts versus with our first, it was quite frequent and it was I don't want this is dramatic, but it felt, like, very debilitating. So, that's been a huge help. And then just my nipples aren't so torn up because we've just switched to pumping earlier, exclusive pumping versus pumping, then trying again on the nipple, pumping and then trying again because I was so latched on to the idea of like actually nursing.
Yeah.
So that's been helpful too. And I think my mental state is also better. So
Yeah.
it's probably a combination of all those things.
No, that makes sense. What can you explain to your best of your ability, even though you're not an anatomy genius? How you said ducts being clogged, like how is it in there and how does it come out? Because I definitely know that my thoughts my whole life of it just being like a bladder of milk that comes out of a
Right?
singular hole is not how it works.
No, no. So it's almost like a weird looking flower where there's just a bunch of like there's so many offshoots and those are the ducts. And so I think within those ducts that produces the milk and then within those individual duct lanes they come out into one hole, but really it's not. Do you know what's crazy? I'm sorry if this is TMI for anyone out there. There are times when I'm pumping so I have my wearable pumps where you can't really see what's going on. But then if you have like the actual hospital grade Spectra looking pumps, like it's the ones that stick out of your bra and you can see your nipple. There's like milk coming down and out, and then there's milk coming out straight. And then sometimes, I mean, like it's not even directly, it's like on the side. There will be a stream shooting off to the left or to the right. So there's little tiny holes everywhere, I think.
So interesting.
I've seen people I don't know if this is real. I'm not gonna say that because that feels weird, but I feel like I've seen people, like, say that they've gotten milk out of their, like, armpit area because there was, like, a duct up there that was malfunctioning.
Weird.
That seems I don't know that for sure. But anyway, going back to the ducts. Yeah, there's just a bunch of little guys, and then they come out to one little area. But what I thought was that the ducts were actually getting like clogged. Like something's in there, it's blocking, like the inside of the duct is clogged. But what I learned this time around is actually there's inflammation around the ducts. And so it's kind of
Oh,
squeezes and compresses them so the milk does not come out. So the other thing I've been doing this time when I have gotten a clogged duct, because I was like super not anti, I was trying my best not to take any medications while I was pregnant and even while I was breastfeeding. This
okay.
time I said, F that. If I need some ibuprofen, I'm going to take some ibuprofen because that has also helped the inflammation, which then can help the milk
Oh,
come out better.
that makes sense.
And I have a lot of supplements that I have garnered from my birth team, like sunflower lecithin, however you say it. I have a tincture called Happy Ducks, and apparently vitamin C is also a good supplement to take if you feel like it's coming, or you could just take it daily,
Fascinating. I was trying to look
right?
up a picture, but none of them are very helpful.
The other weird thing is when I have gotten a clogged duct or a clogged area, I should say is probably a better way to put it. I will literally be sitting there pumping and it does not feel good when it's clogged because you're basically like pulling at something where it's, there's no feedback. It's not coming. And then all of a sudden it'll almost feel like the dam broke and it just starts coming. It's a good thing. It feels better because now it's coming forth, but it's interesting to see the bottles fill up because it'll just be like just to here, and then you feel that kind of release, and then it's like 2 minutes later it's up to here. So
So
it's like, wow,
interesting.
okay. And when people say they have like rocks in their boob, that's kind of what it feels like.
Now, okay, so I know the clogged ducts were a source of pain, but you have told me that it's like just actually pumping, like
Mm-hmm.
the milk coming down has been painful and rage inducing. Do you want
Yeah.
to talk more about that? I had no clue this was a thing until you and I spoke.
Well, I guess that a big part is the letdown feeling, which the
Mm-hmm.
letdown is basically when the milk starts to come out or is about to come out.
Yeah.
And I had seen something on Instagram where it's kind of shows these little pockets of ducks and it's like blah, 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 blah. It's like electric because they're getting stimulated and they're ready to produce. That
Interesting.
not everyone has pain with it. And I feel like the pain differs and changes with a person, but for a while, and for my last pregnancy, it felt like someone was tasing me directly on the nipple.
That's so weird.
Just the worst. Like instinctually, I just had to grab my boobs and just be like, ah. You know, when you get a cut and you're like, ah,
Yeah.
same thing. But the weird thing is, it's been getting less as I've been pumping.
Okay.
I still get it, but it's not as intense. And I talked to a couple other moms, and some people have that as well, and some people have never felt that feeling. So I'm like, that is crazy.
So interesting. And the emotional reaction, do you think that's just you prepping for it being painful, or do you think is that a hormone response?
There's a whole thing where it's called, ooh, I'll look it up. I also found a picture. I don't know if this is helpful, but my lactation consultant said there is, let me look it up real quick.
While you're doing that, I am gonna open this image and share it just so that we can see.
Oh,
Sorry if you're just listening, but you know how to Google.
so it's called dysphoric milk ejection reflex. It's a real psychological condition where a person experiences a sudden wave of negative emotions right before or during milk letdown. Isn't that crazy?
Interesting. That
Okay,
is.
so yeah, I see what I mean? Like little
Yes, so
bulbous guys.
the anatomy, it's really
Yeah.
interesting that the glands go all the way up into your armpit.
Okay, so I wasn't. Yeah, so somebody had something going on with their armpit gland because it was like squirting
Weird.
milk.
It's so interesting all the way up there and then all the way down the sides.
And
Oh,
I
this is or
found
maybe those aren't glands. Is that something else? I don't know.
maybe
Anyway,
that's
it's
your
just
lymphatic
interesting.
system.
All I know is that you are definitely not out here with a bladder full of liquid like I had once imagined.
I know, right? Another thing I was gonna say is I think this time around I have figured out it's so funny, you keep doing the things you're doing because you just don't know. But if you're wearing a bra that's too tight, it's again
Oh.
causing the circulation not to move as much, and so that could clog a duct, or you're maybe more prone to it. Because this time I have been religiously wearing this one bra because it supports me, but it's not tight at all on the underneath part. And I feel
Oh.
like that's been helpful a lot because the one time I did have to wear a different bra for too long, the next day I could feel it completely and I was like, crap, it's coming. So I just took a bunch of
So
supplements and tried to stop it.
so maybe it's the you have the gland and then it lets into its own little beep ba doop ba doo. What's the right word? The little tubey.
Railroad track. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's if you're if there's inflammation around it, then it's impinging on that tube. Like
Hmm.
if you had a plastic tube and you squeezed it, that's what's happening.
Yep.
Well,
That's
I mean,
from
that
my
makes
understanding.
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I
So
don't want to yap for the whole entire time. Is there, I mean, for too long, is there anything else that stands out to you that you just feel like, man, I wish I knew? Oh, actually, I do have an example. Can you tell everyone what's the birth lady called?
lactation
Midwife?
consultant? Oh,
What
midwife, yeah.
maybe it was the lactation, what they told you about the times that it's good for? Because you said that was really helpful.
Yeah, my first, I was very particular because I saw something on Instagram that said if your baby's mouth touches the bottle, the bacteria in the baby's mouth makes the milk only good for 1 hour. Now, I still follow that for formula, but for breast milk, at least what she told me and what I'm going off of, moms, you can debate in the comments, but she said 7 hours out, 7 days in the fridge, and 7 months in the freezer, which totally makes sense to me.
And that's like 7 hours. Once it comes out of you, it can stay out.
That's, yeah.
Which makes
Well,
sense because it's okay, this is not the same, but, like,
like,
even eggs, like, they're
they're okay
fine
for a little
coming out
bit.
of the chicken at the chicken's body temperature, and they're fine to be out in the world,
Yeah.
but then after a certain point, they have to go in the fridge, but you can't take them out of the fridge and then leave them out for an indefinite amount of time.
Right, correct. And then one last thing I'll say, if you are listening and you're struggling or you're preparing, whether you hire a lactation consultant or not, whatever, but just measure your nipple size because if you are pumping, the standard of flange sizes has changed, which I think is also a huge thing that is different this time. They used to measure and consider like how a baby puts their mouth on more than just the nipple. It's like over, they put their mouth over the areola, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
They finally figured out that pumping is different than breastfeeding, and you only should be measuring for the size of the actual nipple. And so my sizes were like 5 off. Like last time I was
Oh,
using like a 24 and this time I'm using an 18. Huge difference
interesting.
in comfort when you're pumping. So that's my last
Okay.
tidbit. That may be a problem that you just don't know.
Well, this has been amazing. I wanna say I'm springing this on you, but I think next week we should talk about gadgets that have been
Mm-hmm.
helpful
Mm-hmm.
because this is the perfect segue into talking about the different breast pumps because I don't want to keep going. I don't want to
Yes,
keep talking and make this too long, but I feel like that's helpful, especially for working moms.
I think that's a great idea.
Or if you have multiple kids, like if you have other stuff you need to be doing with your hands and moving about.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, perf. So maybe make a list of like your top 10 favorite gadgets
Okay.
that have been helpful to you in motherhood realm, either for you or for baby. And if there's too many, we can break it down you versus baby.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then we can go from there. Also, none of these are sponsors, so this is just what's been helpful, FYI, and we're not getting paid for it.
No, correct. But we're open to conversations to be sponsored. Anyway. All right.
All right, thank you so much. This has been so fun.
Mm-hmm.
And until next week, I love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.